the right has been pushing for a federal pardon of Derek Chauvin. Of course, a federal pardon wouldn't be enough on account of the fact that he's serving state charges as well. We all knew this was happening when he won. Yeah. So they just want a virtue signal? Yeah, probably. I've seen some people arguing that the only reason they would do this is if they want to trigger mass protests again so they could use it as an excuse for putting forward the Insurrection Act. Because we know that if the BLM protests happened again under this administration, it would, like, they would 100% just suspend rule of law, like, across the board. Yeah, they would just be shooting into crowds. 100%, yeah. That'd be pretty much game over. Who's this dude? Derek Chauvin, guy who murdered George Floyd. You know, I've heard George Floyd's name like 50 million times in the past 5 years, and I swear to God, basically every single time has been from conservatives. Always conservatives, always Nazis. They love putting George Floyd's head on everything. You know, they just love seeing him, even though it's been 5 years. I mean, for them, it's like an eternal symbol of an unjustified punishment for a lynching. Obviously, when right-wingers say that Floyd died of a drug overdose, they know they're lying, right? They know it's a lynching. They just support the lynching. Like, let's not be stupid. Of course the logic doesn't fly anyway. What do you like? You kill a guy, but it turns out he had a drug in his system, so it's not your fault? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't track. Like, you know what else can impair breathing? Excessive alcohol consumption. Go get in a bar fight and accidentally kill someone. What are you going to get? You're going to get a charge, is what you're going to get. Oh, it was the alcohol. Well, no, I think it was you choking him for 9 minutes, actually, in my opinion. But I'm not a medical expert. Wokest outcome, okay? Derek Chauvin gets pardoned. He declines the pardon. I'm staying in prison. I know what I did was wrong. That's not going to happen. It would be funny, though. He is staring at me here, man. Really, though, they've been pushing for this. It's not just MTG, though. The fact that a congresswoman would be saying this on its own, even the one that got left behind, Ben Shapiro, has been making this argument. A recent video, dude. It's genuinely insane how much they think and talk about George Floyd. It's just about the right to lynch. Look, Ben Shapiro Chauvin, 1 month ago, 2 months ago. There's a short, 1 month ago. And there's something from 4 years ago with Mr. Beat. 1 month ago, short Ben Shapiro. There we go, 4 months ago. Oh, he's another 1 month ago. Like, just non-stop. You should be as shameless as this. The shamelessness isn't a consequence of the subject matter being discussed. The shamelessness is being pro-lynching. I'm anti-lynching, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. Archaeological expert breaks down the history of Jerusalem. Yeah, okay, man. All right. Sheesh, those numbers are down, huh? Oh, he also criticized Trump for accepting the $400 million jet. A bunch of dislikes? Some dislikes. Floyd derangement syndrome? Yeah, essentially. Yeah, Ben Shapiro's views tanked 100% because he's not a Nazi. He is a fascist. He's not a Nazi. Mainly, I think, out of self-preservation. But there are some... I think he's got the same issue as some of the conservative judges and Supreme Court justices, where he's evil, but he has this idea that evil should be, like, intellectual somehow. Like, he chafes at certain levels of wanton dishonesty or, like, anti-intellectualism because he considers himself intelligent, you know? You know, like Amy Coney Barrett. Though in a racism off, Ben Shapiro is a lot more racist than ACB, in my opinion. By the standards of the current administration, ACB is downright woke. Here, anyway, hold on. Sign my petition to pardon Derek Chauvin. Let's just hear it.
There is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should...
A lot of dislikes. I guess this caught onto the algorithm beyond just his followers.
Should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges. If we are talking about reversing the evils of the last several years in American life, obviously COVID and its handling was a massive evil. Destroyed the economy, set us on a path to fiscal insanity, destroyed children, led to massive health-related cover-ups, Just horrifying all the way around. And President Trump has taken on a lot of those things.
Ben called this police brutality back in 2020. Did he? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. You guys might remember, but like right after the murder of George Floyd, even a majority of conservatives thought that it was fucked up. Like, this is very much like January 6th, where immediately after it happened, overwhelmingly, like, everyone was like, oh, that was bad. And it was only afterwards where years and years and years of conservative consensus manufacturing builds up to the other side. The initial authentic reaction to the events that happened lead most people to say it's bad, because it is. But then years of propaganda unwind it, and a lot of people forget what their original views even were.
But when it came to BLM, the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in my lifetime.
Man, just a reminder of how little that is. $2 billion for years of protests across the entire country in which like 80 million people participated. That's insanely good. $2 billion? You mean less than the cost of one of those jets that fell off the plane in the Red Sea? It's like, damn, $2 billion. $2 billion for this like transformative nationwide, all 50 states, tens of millions of participants. God damn. How much is Trump's birthday military parade gonna cost again? Worse race relations. He was alive during the 90s race riots that shut down LA. When a conservative says worsens race relations, what they mean is a black person talked. That's not even a joke. Like the widespread conservative belief that Obama worsened race relations when he was the most like amicable motherfucker in the world. Like, he didn't play up the race card. Basically, he really didn't. You know, they don't like it when black people talk about race. It's pretty much all there is to say about it. Acknowledging racism is worsening the race relations to them. It's not like subtle.
Was in fact the railroading of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not in fact commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. George Floyd was saying he could not breathe before he was even out of the car. He was in the car saying he could not breathe. Derek Chauvin.
Guys, this is not legal advice. Please do not apply this logic to any interpersonal altercations that you engage in. Do not go, Your Honor, the person that died while I was strangling them had a pre-existing heart and breathing condition. Therefore, it's okay. Like, it's insane when you take what they're trying to argue for and you actually think, hold on a second, does this make sense?
For a large segment of even the tape that was shown had his knee on George Floyd's shoulder or back, not on his neck. The autopsy of George Floyd showed that he had no damage to his trachea, that probably George Floyd died of excited delirium.
Guys, listen, okay? Floyd just did that. And I think it's fucked up of you to blame Chauvin just because he happened to be around on the back of his neck for 10 minutes at the time. The comments are anti-him. It's pretty funny. Again, Ben Shapiro is pretty washed, I guess. It's not really about Shapiro's arguments specifically. It's more about the Chauvin is probably going to get a federal pardon, and it is probably going to get a lot of people really riled up. Whether or not it's going to be used as a pretext for like a big militarized anti-free speech crackdown, I can't really say. I can't see the future. It behooves us to be prepared. Walz and other Minnesota agencies weigh in on rumors Trump will pardon Derek Chauvin. Behooves? I can't believe that Walz is preparing his press statements via ChatGPT. Doesn't ChatGPT love to say shit like that? They love to say, like, therefore. You know, they love those $5 words. Behooves is a very military word. You're right. That sounds right. That sounds right to me. Responding to questions from reporters this week, Tim Walz said the White House has given him no indication a federal pardon for Chauvin is imminent. Nevertheless, he's bracing for the possibility, reminding people that even if Chauvin's sentence is commuted on the federal level, he would be transferred to Minnesota to serve out the remainder of his lengthy state prison term, 22 and a half years. Therefore is a completely normal word. What the fuck? I didn't say it was a bad word. I've said therefore at least once. I've said beset. With the 5th anniversary of Floyd's death approaching later this month. Oh, shit, that's right. Hold on a second. George Floyd death date. Yeah, May 25th. If they were going to do it, that would probably be around the time. My birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Genderlin. Yeah, on May 25th. I am glad that Tim Walz and the state are preparing for the possibility of a release. I don't understand. Okay, I don't think the Trump administration would pardon Derek Chauvin if they knew that all it would lead to is him getting transferred to a state prison. You know? Which makes me wonder if they're going to do something more audacious, like put him in, I don't know, protective custody. Like say that by pardoning him of federal charges, he should be declared, it's insane to then prosecute him for the state charges. The pardon should be applied uniformly, and they'll deny transfer and put him in protective custody or something. Would they do that? Maybe. Not impossible. That's possible because he was almost murdered when he first went to jail. That makes sense. I don't know. It just, this quote, this block just seems very ominous to me. Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd in front of the whole world, said Ellison, who noted that Chauvin's convictions have been upheld on appeal to the Minnesota and U.S. Supreme Courts. Trump has no power to pardon Chauvin's state conviction. None. A pardon of Chauvin's federal conviction would return him to Minnesota to serve the rest of his sentence in state prison. Yeah, he's in he's in a different state right now. Where is he being held right now? Texas? Okay. The only conceivable purpose would be to express yet more disrespect for George Floyd and more disrespect for the rule of law. It feels like they're baiting a bit. They release him from federal prison in Texas, and Texas refuses to extradite him to a woke state where he'll be persecuted for his lawful behavior. Yeah. Minnesota's now woke. It's a low bar. I like Walz. Yeah, he's a good guy.